These are the first two funds I bought for the new year, the Vanguard 500 Index Fund and the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. They are both ETF funds, and I chose to invest in these funds this year because I wanted to be more stable in my investments. Last year, I spent a year doing research on the disruptor sector, and I created a portfolio of stocks that are in the disruptor industry, and they are quite volatile right now. So this year, I wanted to focus more on stability, and hopefully, these two funds will give me that stability and some returns. For the rest of the video, I'm going to share in detail these two funds and some of the reasons that attracted me. So hopefully you'll stay till the end. Right now, I'm going to share why I chose the Vanguard 500 Index Fund or the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF fund. As you see it on the screen, they're the same fund. One of the reason is the expense ratio. As you can see, the arrow one pointing to 0.03%. This expense ratio is very low, meaning that you don't pay a lot to hold this fund. So that's one of the main reasons I chose this fund. I do have a retirement account in another investment firm, T. Rowe Price. That was my first retirement fund. It's still there. I do have a video about that. The expense ratio for those funds, it's about 0.69%, which is a lot higher than the one you see here. So Vanguard's funds are usually low with the expense ratio. I think that's part of the reason they're very popular. So I like this fund because of that. And also the fact that this ETF provides dividends. So on a quarterly basis, you are paid to hold these funds. So I like the fact that I'll get some investment returns through that. Another factor that I consider is the rate of return. And when you look at here last year, January, this fund was about $353. Right now, January 2022, this fund is at 428. So it went quite up. So I think it's a bit expensive for my standards, but I still bought it, and I am going to continue buying it this year because I do feel this is a solid investment. One thing that you don't see on the screen is the holdings of this fund, which I'm going to share next, and the companies that this fund has are very high quality companies. So take a look at them and see whether this fund will be a possible choice for your investment portfolio. Here you see the top largest holdings of the S&P 500 index fund. The largest one is Apple. The next is Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Meta Platforms, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase and Company, and Home Depot. So these are fabulous companies. And personally, I hold all these stocks, not 1 through 9, separately. But I am planning to buy Home Depot, hopefully this year when the prices go down a little bit. So that's one of the reasons that I bought this index fund because of it had Home Depot as one of their top 10 holdings. So once again, take a look at this VOO ETF and see whether you'll be interested in buying this fund for this year as well. Now I'm going to talk about the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund ETF. The expense ratio for this one is also 0.03%. And this fund also gives dividends on a quarterly basis. and the rate of return in January of last year, this fund was selling at about $200 per share as you look at the arrow with the two in it. And right now is January 2022. This share is at 236. So it has gone up. And I do plan to continue buying this fund throughout the year and hold it in my long-term portfolio. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you the top 10 holdings of this ETF fund. So this is the list of the top 10 companies that the total stock market index fund has. It is the same as the Vanguard 500 index fund ETF. There are Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Tesla, NVIDIA, Meta Platforms, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase and Company, and Home Depot. What's the difference? The difference is in the percentage of these holdings. When you look at down, the green arrow, you see that 26% of total assets is composed of these 10 companies, whereas in the 500 index fund, the VOO ETF, the holdings is 30% of the net assets. So it's slightly different, but the top 10 holdings are the same. On the surface, these two funds, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF and the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, may not seem that different, but they do. There are some differences. As you can see here, the expense ratio, they're the same, but when you look at the assets under management, the Vanguard S&P 500 is at 280 billion. And the VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, is at 300 billion. So it's slightly higher in the total stock market. And also the number of holdings. The Vanguard Total Stock Market has over 4,000 holdings, whereas the Vanguard S&P 500 has about 500 holdings. So there aren't that many differences, but the percentages do make a difference. So that's part of the reason I chose these two funds, because they are the same, but yet they're different in some ways. In this video, I shared my reasons for choosing these two funds, the Vanguard S&P 500 Index Fund and the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. I hope they are helpful, but I want to add one more thing. The total stock market index funds also has small, medium, and large companies, whereas the S&P 500 index fund only covers the large, more established companies. And when I think about them, I believe that's another reason for buying these two funds.